My name is Rebecca Carter, and for most of my adult life, I carried a very clear, almost cinematic idea of what marriage was supposed to look like. You fall in love, you get married, you build a home together, and then you grow old side by side. A steady, predictable arc-like scenes from a movie. For nearly 12 years, my husband Daniel and I seemed to be living that exact storyline until one quiet evening, everything shifted. That night, Daniel confessed a long-held wish, something that would eventually alter the course of our relationship in ways I could never have predicted. Looking back, it wasn't even the wish itself that unsettled me the most. It was the moment I heard myself say, yes. Daniel and I first crossed paths back in college. He was a third-year mechanical engineering student, perpetually surrounded by textbooks, diagrams, and projects, while I was buried deep in the psychology program. Fascinated by the way people think and behave, we met one chilly autumn evening in the library, the kind of meeting that seems almost scripted now. He sat across from me at a long wooden table, both of us surrounded by towering stacks of books. I remember brushing a strand of hair behind my ear as I caught his eye, and somehow we just started talking. It wasn't small talk either. We spoke about our classes, our dreams, even our families. Hours slipped away, and by the time we packed up our notebooks, there was already a quiet sense of familiarity between us. Daniel had this grounded, calm energy about him. He wasn't the loudest or the flashiest person in the room. Instead, he listened. He absorbed. He was steady. I was almost the complete opposite. Chatty, curious, eager to debate and analyze. Where he offered calm, I brought energy. Where I spiraled into overthinking, he anchored me. Somehow we balanced each other perfectly, like two halves of a whole. After graduation, we did what so many couples do. We got married in a small church in Virginia, surrounded by our families and closest friends. The ceremony was intimate, full of personal touches, handwritten vows, music chosen together, laughter echoing in the air. Life afterward felt almost picture perfect. Daniel landed a position at an engineering firm, and I began my career as a counselor. We bought a modest but warm house in a friendly neighborhood, adopted a golden retriever named Max. And over the next few years, we became parents to two wonderful children. Emily, our bright-eyed 8-year-old, and Jacob, our curious and gentle 5-year-old. From the outside, we were the kind of family people admired. Friends often told us we looked solid, like a couple who had everything figured out. But anyone who has ever been married knows the truth. Even the strongest relationships have their cracks. Most of the time, those cracks aren't visible to outsiders, but inside you feel them. For us, the cracks began so quietly, I almost didn't notice them. Daniel's job grew more demanding. He'd come home late, exhausted. I was stretched thin, juggling work, childcare, and the endless carousel of household tasks. Our conversations gradually shifted from personal and romantic to practical and logistical. Bills, appointments, school projects, the necessary chatter of family life took over. Yet, despite the strain, we still cared deeply for each other. We still tried in our own ways to carve out moments for connection. A shared coffee in the morning, a quick hug in the hallway, a kiss before bed. On our 12th wedding anniversary, Daniel surprised me. We had arranged a rare dinner out without the kids, something we hadn't done in months. The restaurant was quiet, softly lit by flickering candles. For a moment, it felt like we'd slipped back in time to the early days of our relationship. Just the two of us. No noise, no distractions. He reached across the table, taking my hand, his thumb brushing circles against my skin. "Rebecca," he said, his voice carrying a tremor I rarely heard. "There's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time." My stomach dropped. In that instant, my mind raced to the worst possibilities. An illness, a layoff, a confession about us. I looked into his brown eyes, searching for clues. "What is it?" I asked softly. He inhaled deeply before continuing. "I have a wish," he said. "Something I've thought about for years. But I've been scared to bring it up because I don't want to hurt you." I squeezed his hand, trying to stay steady, even though my heart was pounding. "Daniel," I said, "we promised each other honesty. Whatever it is, just tell me." He looked down at his plate, then back at me, his eyes dark and vulnerable. "I've always wanted to explore more within our marriage," he said slowly. "To step outside the boundaries we set years ago. Not because I don't love you. I do more than anything. But because there's a part of me that feels unfulfilled. I don't want that secret to grow into resentment or distance. I'd rather share it with you than hide it." His words landed like a thunderclap. He wasn't saying he had been unfaithful. He was confessing a longing, a wish. My chest tightened, torn between shock, hurt, and disbelief. Part of me felt betrayed even hearing him say it. Another part, the counselor in me, the one who'd seen countless clients wrestle with hidden desires, recognized the courage it took to speak it aloud. So I asked, my voice trembling, "You're saying you want my permission?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Only if you're comfortable, only if you say yes. I don't want to risk us. I just need to be honest about what I've been feeling." I stared at him, my emotions swirling. Love, fear, anger, confusion. Yet underneath it all, to my own surprise, there was something else. Curiosity. For years, I had been the dependable wife, the steady partner, the one who kept our lives running smoothly. I had never allowed myself to imagine what it would feel like to break the rules, to step into the unknown. His confession cracked something open in me, a part of myself I hadn't acknowledged in a long time. That night, I didn't answer him. I simply told him I needed time. He understood. For weeks afterward, I wrestled with the decision. I confided in my sister Claire, who urged me to protect my heart. I filled my journal with endless lists of pros and cons, fears and possibilities. Most importantly, I watched Daniel closely. He didn't pressure me. He didn't withdraw. If anything, he became more attentive, making me coffee in the mornings, texting me sweet notes during the day, helping with the kids more than usual. One evening, I stood in the doorway of our living room, watching him read to Jacob. His voice was low and warm, the way it always had been. And in that moment, something shifted inside me. I realized Daniel's wish didn't come from a desire to abandon us. It came from a desire to live fully without lies, to share even the uncomfortable truths with me. That kind of honesty I realized was rare. So after weeks of silence, one night as we lay in bed in the dark, I whispered my answer. "Yes," I said softly. "Not because I want to lose you, but because I trust you. And maybe I have wishes too." His eyes widened, reflecting the faint glow from the hallway light. Relief, gratitude, and a flicker of joy passed across his face. He pulled me into his arms, kissed my forehead, and murmured, "Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me." Saying yes, I soon learned, was only the beginning. What followed was a journey neither of us could have fully anticipated. We sat down together and set boundaries. We made rules. Everything had to be honest, no secrets, no lies. We would check in regularly, making sure neither of us felt neglected or disrespected. This wasn't about replacing love. It was about exploring, about understanding ourselves and each other more deeply than before. The months that followed were challenging. There were moments of doubt, even jealousy, nights when I cried quietly into my pillow, wondering if I had made a mistake. But there were also moments of unexpected closeness, mornings when Daniel held me tightly and whispered, "You're still my heart. You're still my home." In an unexpected twist, opening the door to Daniel's wish opened a door in me as well. I began admitting things I had suppressed. Not just romantic longings, but life dreams I had shelled years earlier. I confessed my craving for more adventure, more spontaneity, not just in our marriage, but in our everyday lives. Travel, new hobbies, rediscovering parts of myself I had buried under motherhood and responsibility. Together, we began saying yes to more things. Weekend road trips, dance classes where we stumbled and laughed together, nights spent talking until dawn about who we had been and who we wanted to become. What started as his wish evolved into our transformation. We didn't become a perfect couple. We still had disagreements, still felt testing of outside judgment from those who would never understand our choices. But our love grew stronger, not because it fit neatly into society's expectations, but because it was real, raw, and unafraid. Looking back now, years later, I understand something important. Saying yes that night at the restaurant wasn't really about infidelity at all. It was about choosing honesty over silence, growth over stagnation, courage over fear. Daniel and I are still together. We're still raising our children, still building our lives, still walking side by side. And sometimes late at night, I think back to that anniversary dinner and whisper a silent thank you for Daniel's courage to speak his truth, and for my own courage to meet him there. Because sometimes the bravest act of love isn't holding tighter to the known, but stepping hand in hand into the unknown together.